Welcome back to our channel. Joey's mind churned with a storm of suspicion and unease. Every detail of Randy's demeanor, the slight twitch of his hand, the hesitant avoidance of eye contact, all hinted at a hidden agenda. The uneasiness settled like a lead weight in Joey's chest, a sensation that something foul was festering beneath the surface. The contradictions in Randy and Haley's stories gnawed at him relentlessly. One version claimed familiarity dating back years, the other depicted a casual, inconsequential acquaintance. Yet both stories bore the same void, the same lack of genuine transparency. Joey's mind raced through every possible scenario. Was Haley orchestrating a slow, meticulous plan to eliminate Randy, to consolidate the wages and resources for herself? The idea, vile and almost unbearable, planted a seed of dread that took root, twisting Joey's sense of trust into something raw and aggressive. Every glance exchanged between Randy and Haley became a puzzle piece Joey couldn't afford to ignore, each one dripping with potential betrayal. He felt cornered by circumstance, trapped between the looming confrontation he feared and the lurking chaos yet to unfold. Meanwhile, Naomi and Jacob's evening had taken a turn into unforeseen territory. What should have been a casual dinner with Bill and Haley became an exercise in silent vigilance, an intricate dance of observation and unspoken alarm. Haley's playful interference with Bill's drink was subtle, almost imperceptible to the untrained eye, yet to Naomi and Jacob, it rang like a bell tolling the arrival of danger. Naomi's heart raced as she dissected every micro-expression, every flicker of mischief across Haley's face. Each movement became a coded message, a clandestine signal that hinted at manipulation, deceit, and malevolent intent. Jacob's stomach knotted, a deep-seated unease settling over him as he recognized the potential magnitude of the threat before them. The social veneer of civility cracked, revealing a tense battlefield of wills, with each participant poised at the precipice of either exposure or submission. The dinner table, a site of mundane conversation, transformed into an arena where hidden truths threatened to erupt, and everyone's motives were under scrutiny, each thought and action charged with the risk of catastrophic consequence. Anita's presence in the Dupree estate became a crucible of control and restrained contempt. She moved deliberately, smoothing the edges of Leslie's fragile composure, but beneath the surface, an unyielding disdain simmered. Anita's mind catalogued every misstep, every clumsy attempt at self-assertion by Leslie, all while masking her true feelings beneath a calculated veneer of civility. Leslie's dependence on Anita, for funding, guidance, and even moral validation, created a paradoxical tension. Anita's power over her rival was absolute, yet the necessity of maintaining the facade forced her into a delicate choreography of control. Each smile she offered, each measured nod, was a masterstroke of manipulation, simultaneously soothing and suffocating. The mansion itself, a silent witness to the undercurrents of rivalry and suppressed anger, seemed to absorb every whispered thought of betrayal, storing them in the walls as if eager to witness the eventual eruption. In Anita's mind, the destruction of Leslie's previous home was not just a literal demolition, but an emblematic victory, a reminder of the fragility of status and the precariousness of ambition. Each encounter became an intricate psychological duel, where the currency was patience, perception, and the ever-present threat of exposure. Vanessa's conscience churned under the weight of unresolved guilt and protective instincts. Doug's accident, a sudden and merciless rupture of life's fragile balance, cast long shadows across her thoughts. Marcel's role in aiding Doug's final moments was a bitter reminder that outcomes often hinged on intervention, luck, or cruelty, factors beyond control yet intimately tied to personal responsibility. Vanessa found herself retracing Doug's last actions in her mind, questioning the motives he may have harbored, the choices that led him down the path to his fatal encounter. Her internal dialogue, unspoken yet relentless, wove a tapestry of moral reckoning. Should she have done more, acted sooner, seen the danger that now seemed so obvious in hindsight? Each unanswered question became a weight pressing down on her chest, a relentless interrogation of conscience that allowed no respite. Her desire to aid others, to rectify mistakes, collided with the inescapable reality that some outcomes were immutable, leaving her trapped in a cycle of anxious reflection and guilt-fueled determination. The web of connections and betrayals tightened across Fairmont Crest, a community whose polished exteriors belied the turbulence within. Every glance, every gesture carried an encoded message, and no one could afford naivety. Joey's relentless pursuit of truth put him at odds with two figures equally capable of deception, each willing to manipulate circumstance to serve personal gain. Naomi and Jacob navigated a minefield of social interaction, forced to decode subtle threats before they escalated. Anita's authority, exercised through veiled disdain, coerced compliance while stoking resentment. Vanessa wrestled with grief, guilt, and the weight of responsibility, her psyche a battlefield of conflicting impulses. The characters were ensnared in a network of psychological tension, each action resonating through the others, creating cascading ripples of anxiety, suspicion, and potential catastrophe. As the day progressed toward its inevitable climax, the pressures converged. Joey's scrutiny grew more intense, the need for clarity gnawing at his ability to remain patient. Every misstep by Randy or Haley magnified in significance, triggering internal alarms and heightening the potential for confrontation. Naomi and Jacob observed with acute vigilance, their apprehension intensifying as Haley's subtle manipulations hinted at far-reaching consequences. Anita maintained her delicate control over Leslie, a tightrope walk where a single miscalculation could unravel both influence and facade. Vanessa's internal conflict deepened, oscillating between proactive engagement and paralyzing doubt, each moment a test of moral courage and emotional resilience. The mansion itself seemed alive with tension, walls absorbing the echoes of mistrust and whispered calculations. Every character's decisions reverberated, often in unseen ways, influencing the emotional state and strategic considerations of the others. Betrayal and loyalty, deceit and integrity, collided in a complex lattice, creating pressure points that threatened to fracture under the weight of accumulated suspicion. Each figure felt the confines of circumstance pressing inward, reducing options, forcing reactions, and exposing the most vulnerable corners of character. What had begun as minor intrigues and interpersonal tension escalated into a near inescapable web of strategic and emotional complexity, leaving everyone teetering on the edge of revelation, confrontation, or emotional implosion. By the evening, the fractures were unmistakable. Joey's piercing observations had cornered Randy into inconsistencies, forcing him into an almost primal state of defense and calculation. Naomi and Jacob had discerned Haley's subtleties, compelling them to respond preemptively, yet the anticipation of sabotage remained suffocating. Anita's subtle domination of Leslie reached new heights, her quiet contempt coiling like a snake ready to strike, yet restrained by social necessity. Vanessa's torment became a silent but powerful force, influencing decisions, moral compromises, and the psychological state of those around her. Each character was compelled to confront personal boundaries, ethical compromises, and the profound consequences of unchecked ambition, jealousy, and vengeance. As night descended, the stage was set for inevitable conflict. The culmination of hidden agendas, simmering resentments, and morally ambiguous decisions promised a cascade of outcomes that no one could fully control. The Fairmont Crest community, so carefully curated in appearance, had become a crucible of exposure, a pressure cooker in which the human psyche, driven by desire, fear, and guilt, was stretched to its breaking point. In every room, a silent tension hung, pregnant with the potential for revelation, betrayal, or destruction. The interplay of these emotional and strategic dynamics created a narrative pulse that was relentless, unyielding, and intensely human, reflecting the darkest and most compelling aspects of ambition, deceit, and moral vulnerability. The evening's events left no one untouched. Each character's inner landscape had been irrevocably altered, leaving scars of suspicion, doubt, and awareness of vulnerabilities previously unacknowledged. Joey, Naomi, Jacob, Anita, Leslie, Vanessa, and all those entwined in the lattice of events were forced to operate under the weight of consequence, every decision a reflection of desire, fear, and survival instinct. As the mansion settled into an uneasy night, the anticipation of next steps and further revelations loomed large, a persistent reminder that in Fairmont Crest, the veneer of civility was thin, and the human heart, even in privilege, remained dangerously combustible.